Stand back. I'm armed.
Come on, man.
I just want to talk.
That was like instinct.
Hi, I'm Kane Robinson, Executive Director of National Rifle Association General Operations. I'm so glad you're participating in this program to advance your skill with a firearm. All NRA programs are designed to protect our freedom. We protect the Second Amendment, our right to own a gun, a right that's only credible and useful if Americans are proficient and safe in actually using their guns. NRA has assembled the finest firearm instructors in the world. If you listen carefully to them, you'll learn important techniques in gun handling. By being a part of the NRA family, you ensure that your freedom will live forever.
Welcome to the NRA Basics of Pistol Shooting. Millions of Americans just like you own pistols, either for recreational and competitive shooting, hunting, personal protection, gun collecting, or simply to exercise the right of gun ownership guaranteed by the United States Constitution. So in order to help citizens learn to own and use a pistol safely and effectively, the National Rifle Association, America's largest firearm training organization, developed the NRA Basic Pistol Shooting course and this companion video, the NRA Basics of Pistol Shooting.
This video will help you acquire the knowledge, skills, and attitude necessary to own and use a pistol safely. We'll cover the major parts of a pistol, the various types, and how they operate. Along the way, we'll discuss the fundamental gun safety rules and how they're applied when firing a pistol.
Also, we'll tell you about pistol ammunition, the fundamentals of shooting, and the techniques of firing a pistol from the bench rest and two-handed standing shooting positions. Then finally, we'll show you how to select pistols and pistol ammunition, how to properly clean a pistol, and how to pursue a variety of pistol shooting activities after this course.
If you feel overwhelmed or would like to review some previous material, please feel free to use the menu button on your remote to return to a chapter select menu. There you can jump around to the topics you're most interested in.
Although there are a number of pistol types, the most common are the revolver and the semi-automatic. A revolver is a pistol that has a rotating cylinder containing a number of firing chambers. Pulling the trigger or cocking the hammer will line up a chamber with the barrel and firing pin. All revolvers consist of three main parts: the frame, the barrel, and the action. The frame is the backbone to which all other parts are attached. Major frame components include the grip panels, the trigger guard, which protects the trigger from inadvertent contact, the rear sight, the back strap, and the front strap. The hole inside the barrel, the bore, contains spiral lands and grooves called the rifling, which spin the bullet to stabilize it in flight. The bore's caliber is the measurement of its diameter, expressed in either inches or millimeters. At the front of the barrel is the muzzle, where the bullet exits, and the front sight. Finally, the action is a group of moving parts used to load, fire, and unload a pistol.
Revolvers have a number of action parts, such as the trigger, hammer, and hammer spur, which helps the thumb cock the hammer. The cylinder holds ammunition in individual chambers that are rotated into firing position by the action of the trigger or hammer. On some revolvers, a cylinder latch allows the cylinder to swing out from the frame for loading. The ejector removes empty cases or live cartridges from the cylinder and is activated by the ejector rod. There are basically two types of revolvers, single action and double action. In a single action revolver, the trigger performs one action, releasing the hammer. The hammer must be manually cocked with the thumb. In a double action revolver, the trigger performs two tasks. It both cocks and releases the hammer. Most double-action revolvers can also be fired in the single-action mode by manually cocking the hammer with the thumb.
The other major type of pistol is the semi-automatic. The term semi-automatic means each time the trigger is pulled, it fires a single cartridge, then automatically extracts and ejects the empty case and feeds a new cartridge into the chamber of the barrel. Like a revolver, a semi-automatic pistol consists of a frame, a barrel, and an action. Semi-automatic pistols have many frame components in common with revolvers, such as grip panels, a trigger guard, and the front strap and back strap areas. The barrel of a semi-automatic pistol, like that of a revolver, has a bore, rifling to stabilize the bullet, a muzzle where the bullet exits, and sometimes a front sight. Its bore size or caliber is measured the same way. At the rear of the barrel, an enlarged section of the bore called the chamber holds the cartridge to be fired. Barrels in locked breech semi-automatic pistols have lugs, which lock the barrel to the slide at the moment of firing. In such pistols, upon firing, the barrel and slide recoil rearward together, keeping the breech sealed, and unlock only after pressure in the chamber is dropped to a safe level. Semi-automatic pistols also share some of the same action parts as revolvers, like the trigger, hammer, and hammer spur. There are also hammerless semi-automatic pistols, which lack an external hammer. Some of these have an internal hammer, while others have a spring-powered firing pin or striker. An important action component of semi-automatic pistols is the slide, which slides on rails in the frame. When the slide is all the way forward and the action is closed, the slide seals or locks the breech. Upon firing, the slide moves to the rear and is returned forward to close the breech by pressure from the recoil spring. Some slides enclose the barrel, while others are located to the rear of the barrel. The slide has three main functions. First, it extracts the cartridge case from the chamber and ejects it from the pistol. Second, in most semi-autos, the rearward motion of the slide cocks the hammer or firing pin. And last, as the slide moves forward, it causes the top cartridge from the magazine to feed into the chamber. A semi-automatic's rear sight, and often the front sight as well, are usually mounted on the slide. You should know that there are many different devices for aiming a revolver or semi-auto. Iron sights like these are probably what you're most familiar with. Some different sights include laser sights, which project a beam of laser light onto the target, and red dot sights, which use a red dot as the aiming point. Telescopic sights, which are aimed by way of crosshairs, are also popular for long-range pistol shooting. The main advantage of all these types of sights is that they do not require the shooter to align the front and rear sights with the target.
Other semi-automatic action parts include the slide stop or slide lock, a lever on the frame that holds the slide rearward when it is engaged, the decocking lever, which lowers a cocked hammer, and the takedown lever, which allows the slide and barrel to be separated from the frame. Additionally, most semi-automatic pistols also have a safety on the slide or frame. Always remember, safeties are mechanical devices that can fail. You must follow the 3 NRA rules for safe gun handling. At the bottom of the frame is the magazine, a detachable storage device that holds cartridges to be fed into the chamber. The magazine is released from the gun by the magazine release, a button or lever located on the frame. There are 3 main types of semi-automatic pistol actions. With a single-action semi-automatic, each pull of the trigger only performs one function, releasing the cocked hammer. The hammer must be manually cocked for the first shot, and the action of the slide cocks the hammer for each subsequent shot. Traditional double-action semi-automatic pistols have a long, heavy initial trigger pull that both cocks and releases the hammer. Each subsequent shot is fired in the single-action mode. Other semi-automatic pistols have double-action only operation, in which each trigger pull both cocks and releases the hammer or striker, as with a double-action revolver. These pistols are different in the ways they operate, feel, and fire. In order to use your pistol safely and effectively, you must know how to load, cock, uncock, and unload it. There are specific procedures for performing these functions with single-action and double-action revolvers. When you're learning these procedures with any pistol, use only clearly identifiable dummy ammunition, and be sure there's no live ammunition in the area. To load the single-action revolver, first hold the revolver in the left hand. This is the same for both right and left-handed persons, because the loading gate is on the gun's right side. Make sure the muzzle is pointed slightly downward in a safe direction. Check your owner's manual for the proper procedure for your gun. Next, insert a live cartridge into the exposed chamber. Rotate the cylinder to expose the next empty chamber. Repeat the loading process until the cylinder is full and close the loading gate. Once you've loaded your single-action revolver, you can fire it. To fire a single-action revolver, simply cock the hammer. Then, making sure the revolver is pointed in a safe direction, put your index finger on the trigger. Take aim and pull the trigger. You can cock the hammer with the thumb of your firing hand, or if you're using a two-handed grip, the thumb of your support hand should be used. To fire the next shot, simply cock the hammer again. This rotates the cylinder to put a fresh cartridge under the hammer. Repeat this process until you have fired the number of shots you want.
If you have cocked the hammer, but decide not to fire a shot, you must know how to safely decock your revolver. First, put your trigger finger outside the trigger guard alongside the frame. Place your support hand thumb between the hammer and the frame to keep the hammer from falling forward and firing the gun. Place your firing hand thumb on the hammer spur. While controlling the hammer, pull the trigger to release the hammer to go forward. Take your trigger finger off the trigger and ease the hammer forward until it touches the support hand thumb. Remove the support hand thumb and carefully lower the hammer the rest of the way down. First, make sure your finger is off the trigger and the hammer is down. Hold the revolver in the left hand, open the loading gate with the right hand thumb, and rotate the cylinder until an empty case or live cartridge is aligned with the gate. Again, with some models, you'll have to pull the hammer back to the half-cock position first. Now, use the index finger of the right hand to pull the ejector rod rearward, pushing a case or cartridge out of the chamber. Release the ejector rod, rotate the cylinder, and repeat the process until the cylinder is empty.
The procedures for loading, firing, decocking, and unloading a double-action revolver are, in some ways, similar to those of a single-action revolver. Whether you are a right-handed or left-handed shooter, the first step in reloading is to transfer the revolver into the right hand. This exposes the cylinder release. Push the cylinder release forward with the right-hand thumb. Wrap the left hand around the frame and use the 2 middle fingers of the left hand to push the cylinder to the left, out of the frame, while rotating the revolver frame to the right. With the chambers of the cylinder exposed and the muzzle tilted slightly downward in a safe direction, insert live cartridges into the chambers until the cylinder is full. Finally, push the cylinder back into the frame until it clicks closed. Most double-action revolvers can be fired in either the single or double-action mode. In single action mode, first make sure the revolver is pointed in a safe direction with your finger off the trigger along the frame. Cock the hammer with the thumb of your firing hand, or if you're using a two-handed grip, the thumb of your support hand. Then put your trigger finger on the trigger, aim, and pull the trigger. Continue this process until the desired number of shots is fired. Firing the double-action revolver in the double-action mode is even easier. Simply align the sights with the target, put your trigger finger on the trigger, and squeeze the trigger all the way through its cycle. This will cause the hammer to cock and then release, firing the revolver. With practice, you'll be able to keep the sights right on target throughout the double-action pull. Decocking a double-action revolver is performed exactly the same way as you decock a single-action revolver. With your trigger finger off the trigger and placed alongside the frame, put the thumb of your support hand between the hammer and the frame to keep the hammer from falling and firing the gun. Put your firing hand thumb on the hammer spur. Place your index finger on the trigger and pull the trigger while you control the hammer. When the hammer is released by the trigger, remove your trigger finger from the trigger and slowly lower the hammer until it contacts your support hand thumb. Finally, take the support hand thumb from under the hammer and carefully ease the hammer all the way down. Unloading a double-action revolver is performed differently than unloading a single-action revolver. With your trigger finger off the trigger, wrap the fingers of the left hand around the frame. Engage the cylinder release and push the cylinder out to the left of the frame with the two middle fingers of the left hand, while rotating the revolver frame to the right. Rotate the muzzle upward and push the ejector rod fully rearward with the left hand thumb. This should extract and eject all the empty shells and live cartridges in the cylinder, allowing them to be removed. If the empty cases stick in the chambers, it may be necessary to turn the muzzle vertical and hit the ejector rod sharply with the palm of the right hand. The procedures for operating single and double-action semi-automatic pistols are similar in some ways and different in others. The first step in loading both types of pistols is loading the magazine. To load a pistol magazine, hold it in the support hand with the top upward and its front facing the firing hand. Grasp a live cartridge in the firing hand fingers with the head of the case facing outward. Use the case rim to depress the magazine follower, and then slide the cartridge under the magazine feed lips all the way to the rear. Repeat this process until the magazine is loaded to capacity. To complete the loading process, insert the magazine into the magazine well of the gun, cartridges facing forward. Make sure that it locks in place. Then, holding the pistol in the firing hand with the muzzle pointed in a safe direction, pull the slide fully to the rear with the support hand and then release it to go forward. This will chamber a cartridge. Don't ease or ride the slide down. Let it fly forward under spring pressure. Firing either type of semi-automatic pistol is done essentially the same way. Point the pistol in a safe direction. Make sure the safety or decocker of the pistol is in the fire position. Put the trigger finger into the trigger guard, on the trigger, take aim, and pull the trigger. The pistol will fire and automatically eject the fired case and load another live cartridge into the chamber. Continue until you have fired the desired number of shots or until the magazine is empty. On most semi-automatic pistols, the slide will lock rearward after the last cartridge in the magazine is fired. At any time, when you want to stop firing momentarily and there are still cartridges in the magazine, put the gun on safe or engage the decocker to drop the hammer. To resume firing, move the safety or decocker to fire and pull the trigger. If you intend to stop firing for a longer period of time, or if you're going to leave the firing line, you should unload the pistol completely and leave it on the bench with the action open, or put the pistol in its case. Decocking a pistol with a decocking lever is accomplished simply by engaging that lever to drop the hammer. The final step in operating a semi-automatic pistol is unloading it. With most pistols, the magazine release is located at the rear of the trigger guard and is pressed with the firing hand thumb. Press the magazine release to drop the magazine from the gun. A few pistols may also have the magazine release located on the butt at the back of the magazine well. This type of release must be disengaged with the support hand. Once you've removed the magazine from the pistol, you've still got to take the live cartridge out of the chamber. With the pistol held in your firing hand and pointed in a safe direction, put your trigger finger outside the trigger guard along the frame. Move the pistol's safety or decocker to the safe position. Grasp the slide in the rear with your support hand and retract it sharply. This will extract a live cartridge from the chamber and eject it out of the ejection port. Visually and physically inspect the chamber to make sure it is empty. At this time, you may either lock the slide back or ease the slide forward and drop the hammer on an empty chamber by engaging the decocker of a double-action semi-automatic, or by pulling the trigger to dry fire a single-action pistol. Your pistol's owner's manual will tell you if dry firing is safe. Read your gun's owner's manual to learn any specific operating procedures your pistol requires. If you have any questions, contact the pistol's manufacturer, or consult a person familiar with your gun, such as a gunsmith or an NRA certified instructor.
The single most important aspect of pistol shooting is safety. Preventing firearm accidents should be every shooter's first priority. There are two main causes of firearm accidents. The first is ignorance, or a lack of knowledge. This can take two forms: ignorance of the rules for safe gun handling and ignorance of the proper and safe way to operate a pistol. The second cause of gun accidents is carelessness, or a poor or improper attitude. Carelessness can result in the failure to apply the rules for safe gun handling or failure to observe the proper procedures for safe pistol operation.
The NRA advocates 3 fundamental rules to ensure safe gun handling. First, always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. This is the single most important rule of gun safety. You must always point your pistol in a direction so that even if it is fired unintentionally, it will not cause injury or damage. What is a safe direction varies with the situation. At a range, a safe direction is downrange, toward the berm or backstop, while in the field, it is usually safe to point the muzzle at the ground. The second rule for safe gun handling is always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot. Until you are prepared to fire the pistol, keep it pointed in a safe direction and place the index finger outside the trigger guard alongside the pistol frame. The third and final rule for safe gun handling is always keep the gun unloaded until ready to use. A pistol cannot fire if it is unloaded. Whenever you pick up a firearm, immediately point it in a safe direction with your trigger finger off the trigger and open the action to make sure it is unloaded. Although these 3 rules will do much to ensure safe shooting, there are also a number of other specific safety rules you should know. These are the NRA rules for using and storing a gun.
First, know your target and what is beyond. Even pistol bullets can travel a mile in the air and can penetrate building walls, so you must always be aware of what may lie beyond your target. Be sure your gun is safe to operate. Know how to use your gun safely and use only the correct ammunition for it. Consult your pistol's owner's manual for the proper operating procedures and ammunition for your pistol. Wear eye and ear protection as appropriate, and never use alcohol or drugs before or while shooting. Even over-the-counter drugs, such as cold medications, can impair judgment or perception. And finally, store guns so that they are not accessible to unauthorized persons. Knowing all the gun safety rules is not enough to ensure safe shooting.
Is the line ready?
Having a safety-oriented attitude is the most important factor in shooting safety. Thus, you should focus not only on learning the rules, but also on developing the type of attitude that ensures that you will follow them at all times.
A pistol is simply a device for firing cartridges, so it's a good idea for you to know something about ammunition. A cartridge consists of 4 parts. The case is a metal cylinder, usually made of brass, closed at one end, which contains the other 3 components. The priming compound is an impact-sensitive chemical compound used for ignition. The powder charge is a fast-burning chemical compound used as a propellant and is ignited by the priming compound. And the bullet is the projectile that travels down the bore toward the target. Modern metallic cartridges are of two types, rimfire and centerfire. Rimfire cartridges contain the priming compound in the folded inside rim of the case head. In centerfire cartridges, the priming compound is contained in a metal cup, the primer, located in the center of the case head. The primer is composed of a metal cup, a layer of priming compound, and an anvil, which sits against the bottom of the primer pocket in the case. When a gun's trigger is pulled, a specific sequence of events occurs. First, the firing pin strikes the primer or case rim and ignites the priming compound. The flame generated by the priming compound ignites the powder charge. The powder burns rapidly and generates a large volume of hot, high-pressure gas. At this time, the case walls expand against the walls of the chamber to form a gas seal. Finally, the high-pressure gas propels the bullet out of the barrel at a high velocity.
Every pistol is made to shoot a specific cartridge, so you must know how to identify the right ammunition for your gun. The barrel of your pistol is marked to indicate the proper ammunition for your gun. This should be matched with the head stamp, the cartridge designation stamped on the case head of a centerfire cartridge, and with the markings on the ammunition box. Some cartridges have more than one name, such as the 9mm Luger, and a few guns can fire more than one cartridge, such as revolvers chambered for the .357 Magnum, which can also fire the .38 Special cartridge. On top of that, some cartridge designations include a +P or +P+ suffix. Such cartridges are loaded to higher pressures than standard cartridges of the same name. Pistols certified for such ammunition are usually, but not always, marked to indicate this. Consult your pistol's owner's manual, your pistol's manufacturer, or a knowledgeable person, such as an NRA-certified pistol instructor, to determine what cartridge should be fired in your gun. To ensure long ammunition life and proper functioning, it should be stored in a cool, dry place. Avoid storage in a high-temperature location such as an attic or trunk of a car. Also avoid exposing ammunition to water, solvents, petroleum products, bore cleaners, ammonia, or other chemicals. These materials can deteriorate the powder or priming compound, resulting in a cartridge malfunction. And always wipe fingerprints off cartridge cases, as their salty residue can corrode cases. Always keep the ammunition in the original factory box or carton. This is important to prevent a potentially dangerous ammunition mix-up. And of course, store ammunition in a location where children or other unauthorized persons can't have access to it.
Although modern factory ammunition is extremely safe and reliable, you may encounter one of three types of cartridge malfunctions. The first type of malfunction is a misfire, which is the failure of a cartridge to ignite when the primer or case rim has been struck by the firing pin. This may be caused by a defect in the cartridge or pistol. The second type of malfunction is a hangfire, which is a perceptible delay in the ignition of a cartridge after the primer or case rim has been struck by the firing pin. This delay may last several seconds. When a cartridge fails to fire immediately, it will not be known at first if the problem is a misfire or a hangfire. You should keep the pistol pointed in a safe direction, as a hangfire condition might exist and cause the pistol to fire after a substantial delay. For this reason, you should wait at least 30 seconds before opening the action to remove the cartridge. The third malfunction is the squib load. This occurs when the cartridge develops less than normal pressure or velocity when it's ignited. With a squib load, the bullet may fail to exit the muzzle and lodge in the bore. If you notice anything unusual upon firing a shot, such as reduced noise, muzzle flash, or recoil, a squib load should be suspected. Stop firing immediately. While keeping the muzzle pointed in a safe direction, unload the pistol, checking to ensure that all chambers are empty. Then, with the action open, visually inspect the barrel to make sure that it is not obstructed. If a bullet is stuck in the barrel, firing another shot could cause serious injury or gun damage. Have a gunsmith remove the stuck bullet if necessary.
For most people, the ability to shoot well does not come naturally, and it must be learned. To help with this process, we will cover a series of shooting fundamentals, starting with finding your dominant eye. In virtually all people, the brain makes the visual field of one eye dominant over the other. This eye is the dominant eye and should be used to aim the pistol. To determine the dominant eye, first extend both arms forward and join the hands, leaving a small space between them. Pick out a spot at a distance and look at that spot through the space between your hands. Then slowly bring your hands into your face, maintaining focus on the spot. When your hands are right in front of your face, the space between your hands will be directly in front of your dominant eye. In most people, the dominant eye is on the same side of the body as the dominant hand. Having your dominant eye and hand on the opposite side of the body is referred to as cross-dominant. Such people may be able to learn to grip and fire the pistol with the non-dominant hand, or can hold the gun with the dominant hand and simply bring it in front of the dominant eye to align the sights with the target. All shooting is done from a position. A position is the platform from which all the shooting fundamentals are executed. A position should be comfortable, balanced, relaxed, and properly aligned with the target. The best way to learn the shooting fundamentals is to use a supported position at a bench. This bench rest position is the initial position that you should learn and is the first position taught in the NRA Basic Pistol Shooting course. To assume the bench rest position, first sit behind the bench or table facing the target. Your feet should be flat on the ground, and both arms should be extended fully forward. Your back should be straight or leaning slightly forward. Use sandbags to support your wrists, and your head should be fully erect. If necessary, raise the sandbags to allow the head to be erect and adjust the seat to position your body properly behind the bench. The two-handed standing shooting position is the other position taught in this course. In this position, the shooter stands facing the target with the weight equally distributed on both feet. The back is straight or bent slightly forward. The head is erect, and both arms are extended forward equally, forming the sides of an isosceles triangle. For this reason, this position is called the isosceles position. There are other two-handed standing shooting positions, but for most purposes, the isosceles is as good a position as any other.
But before you learn the shooting fundamentals, you must master the proper grip. Grip refers to the manner in which the pistol is held in the hand. A proper and consistent grip is essential to accurate shooting. Together, grip and position are the foundations that will allow proper execution of the shooting fundamentals. To assume a proper two-handed grip, use your non-firing or support hand to place the pistol in your firing hand. Next, fit the V formed by the thumb and index finger of the firing hand as high as possible on your pistol's back strap. Grip the pistol using the base of your thumb and the lower three fingers of your firing hand. The pressure of your grip should be directed straight to the rear. Hold the pistol firmly but without exerting excessive pressure, and keep your finger off the trigger, outside the trigger guard along the side of the frame. The thumb should lie relaxed on the other side of the frame. Wrap the fingers of your support hand around the fingers of your firing hand so that the corresponding knuckles of both hands meet. Place the heel of your support hand against the heel of your firing hand.
Once you have learned how to adopt a shooting position and grip the pistol, you can begin to master the shooting fundamentals. These should be performed every time you fire a shot from any position. The 5 fundamentals of pistol shooting are aiming, hold control, breath control, trigger control, and follow-through. Aiming is the process of achieving the proper relationship between the target, the front sight, and the rear sight. Aiming is further broken down into sight alignment and sight picture. Sight alignment refers to the proper relationship of the eye and the pistol's front and rear sights. Proper sight alignment is the key to accurate shooting. With the typical post and notch sights found on most pistols, the top of the front sight is even with the top of the rear sight, and the post is centered in the notch with equal amounts of light on both sides. The second part of aiming is sight picture. Sight picture is obtained by achieving proper sight alignment and then putting the aligned sights into their proper relationship with the target. Your eye can only focus on one object at a time, so you should concentrate on the front sight, which will appear sharp and clear, while the rear sight and the target will be less sharp or blurred. Another key is to keep both your eyes open while aiming, which increases the light available to the eyes and improves depth perception. Leaving both eyes open eliminates facial contortions and muscle tension. If necessary, you can place a small piece of frosted tape on the inside of the lens of the shooting glasses in front of the non-shooting eye to relieve eye strain.
Grip is an important factor in hold control. A good grip allows you to hold the gun more steadily and naturally with less tension. However, no one can hold a gun perfectly still. Even the best shooters exhibit a small degree of motion. This motion is called the arc of movement. With practice, you'll be able to minimize the arc of movement while maintaining proper sight picture. Body movement while breathing can produce gun movement, which impairs shooting. You can use breath control to minimize this movement. To minimize body movement, take a breath before each shot, let enough air out to be comfortable, and simply stop breathing while firing the shot. Be careful though, holding your breath too long can result in muscle tremors. If this occurs, remove your trigger finger from the trigger, lower the gun while pointing it in a safe direction. Relax and take a few breaths, and then begin the process of firing a shot all over again.
Trigger control, the third fundamental, is the proper method of activating the trigger to minimize movement that can misalign the sights. To exercise proper trigger control, first place the index finger on the trigger about halfway between the fingertip and the first joint. Squeeze the trigger straight to the rear in a smooth, continuous manner without disturbing sight picture. Apply finger pressure evenly, not in a start and stop manner. You should not be able to predict when the gun will fire. Each shot should come as a surprise. You should perform the trigger squeeze and maintain sight picture while simultaneously maintaining a minimum arc of movement.
The final shooting fundamental is follow-through. Follow-through enables you to integrate, maintain, and continue all the shooting fundamentals before, during, and immediately after firing. Follow-through is an important fundamental of not just shooting, but also many other sports, such as golf, archery, and baseball. Although all the shooting fundamentals are important, the two most critical fundamentals in pistol shooting are aiming and trigger control. The other fundamentals contribute to achieving these.
Now that you've learned about pistol operation, gun safety, and the shooting fundamentals, you're ready to fire your first shots. Anytime you go to a range, you should familiarize yourself with the range layout. Most all ranges have common characteristics, such as a ready line where persons stand when not shooting, a firing line from which all shooting is done, target area, a backstop or impact area, left and right range limits, firing points, target and firing line numbers, safety berms, entry and exit routes, range flags, and warning markers or other physical safety features. You should also note the location of the range's first aid kit, phone, fire extinguishers, restrooms, and other safety equipment or facilities. In addition, identify the range's safety personnel. Before you fire your first shots, take time to review the NRA rules for safe gun handling and the NRA rules for using and storing a gun. Most ranges also have additional safety rules, which are usually posted near the firing line. These rules may dictate the types of targets that may be used, calibers of guns that are permitted, and more. Make sure you know and obey all such rules. During a shooting session, you may experience a malfunction, such as a misfire, hangfire, or squib load. Anytime you have a problem or question on the firing line, you should stop firing immediately, keep your gun pointed downrange, and raise your non-shooting hand to signify there is a problem. Range personnel will provide assistance. During your shooting session, you should avoid eating, drinking, smoking, or placing your hands near your mouth or eyes. This will keep you from ingesting lead particles or chemical residues. After shooting, wash your hands and face with cold soapy water and change and clean your clothing. Before you begin shooting, you should know some basic range commands.
With a magazine and 5 rounds, load.
The load command authorizes you to load your pistol, nothing else. You must still keep your finger off the trigger.
Ready on the left. Ready on the right. Ready on the firing line. Commence fire.
When the commence firing command is given, you may begin firing when you are ready.
Cease fire.
And when the cease firing command is given, all shooting must stop immediately. Even if you are in the process of squeezing the trigger, you must stop, remove your finger from the trigger, keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction, and wait for further instructions from the range officer. When cease firing is called, you may be instructed to unload your pistol, open the action, and put it on the bench. The cease firing command is not restricted to the range officer. Anyone observing an unsafe situation can call cease firing.
Now you're ready to take your first shots. The first position you should learn and shoot from is the bench rest position. The initial step in successfully acquiring the bench rest position or any other position is to study the position. As you'll remember, in the bench rest position, you sit behind the bench or table facing the target, feet flat on the ground, with both arms extended fully forward. Your back should be straight or leaning slightly forward. Your wrists should be supported by the sandbags, and your head should be fully erect. Next, practice getting into the position without a pistol. Focus on achieving the proper body position. You can then proceed to practicing the bench rest position with an unloaded pistol. Be sure that you're using the proper grip and that your arms are extended fully forward, and verify that you're achieving proper sight alignment. Adjust your position as necessary to ensure that you are naturally aligned with the target. Once you're comfortable in the bench rest position with the pistol, dry fire the pistol at the target using the fundamentals of pistol shooting: aiming, hold control, breath control, trigger control, and follow through. Focus on keeping the sights aligned and squeezing the trigger without disturbing the sights. If you're shooting a revolver, cock the hammer for each shot. Dry firing is an activity you can do at home to improve your mastery of the fundamentals. When you perform dry fire practice, make sure you have no live ammunition in the area and only point the gun at a solid backstop, such as a cinder block wall in a basement. And understand that not all guns are designed to be dry fired. Check your pistol's owner's manual to be sure. Use a blank sheet of typing paper as a target set out at 15 feet, and make sure you are wearing eye and ear protection. Load your pistol with one cartridge, keeping your trigger finger off the trigger and the gun pointed in a safe direction. Make sure you apply the fundamentals of pistol shooting. Then fire a single shot at the target. Concentrate on keeping the sights in proper alignment in the center of the target and squeezing the trigger without disturbing the sights. Continue loading and firing one shot at a time. When you're comfortable shooting single shots using the fundamentals of shooting, you may progress to loading and firing 5 shots in a row at the center of the target. All your shots should be on the paper. Rest between shots if necessary. When you're able to form a shot group of closely spaced bullet holes, you can begin the process of adjusting your sights or zeroing your pistol.
Always make sure your pistol is unloaded before adjusting the sights. On pistols with adjustable iron sights, the rear sight is moved in the direction that you want the bullet to go. With this target, the shot group is low and to the left, so the rear sight should be moved up and to the right. Most adjustable sights have markings to show you which way to turn the adjusting screws to produce the desired movement. Red dot and telescopic sights also have vertical and horizontal adjustments to allow you to zero your pistol. Some sights are not adjustable. They are called fixed sights. These are often preset for a specific distance, such as 15 or 25 yards. With fixed sights, you can often change the vertical point of impact by trying different types of ammunition in your gun. When you have zeroed your pistol, try shooting at a bullseye target. Use a 6 o'clock hold with the sights aligned at the very bottom of the bullseye. This will enable you to see the front sight clearly in the wide area of the target around the bullseye. Remember that you can only focus on one thing at a time, so you should concentrate on the front sight. The other position taught in the NRA Basic Pistol Shooting course is the two-handed standing shooting position. As detailed before, to assume this position, stand with your feet shoulder-width apart, with your body weight distributed evenly. Your legs should be straight or bent slightly at the knees for proper balance, your back straight or leaning slightly forward, and your head erect. Extend your arms fully forward and bring your pistol to eye level. You should be relaxed and comfortable in the position. Like the bench rest position, you should start by studying the position. Practice the position without a pistol, then practice the position with an unloaded pistol. As you do this, make sure your body is naturally aligned with the target by establishing your natural aiming area, or NAA. Your NAA in any shooting position is the natural and comfortable alignment of your body with your pistol. You should always strive to align your NAA with the target. To determine your NAA, first assume your shooting position with the gun aimed at the target. Close your eyes and move the gun in a small circle until it comes to rest in a position that feels most naturally stable and comfortable. Open your eyes and observe where your sights are in relation to the target. If the sights are not aligned with the target, adjust your stance by moving your feet or body until the sights are on target. Repeat the exercise to verify your NAA. Anytime you shoot, use your NAA to achieve the most natural and relaxed position. Once you are aligned with the target, dry fire in the position, using the fundamentals of pistol shooting. Focus on keeping the sights aligned on the target and on squeezing the trigger without disturbing the sights. You will not be able to hold your gun perfectly still. Try to keep the sights aligned while maintaining a minimum arc of movement. Pull the trigger straight to the rear and try to achieve a surprise break. Keeping your pistol pointed downrange with your trigger finger off the trigger alongside the frame, load a single round into the chamber, aim the pistol, and fire a single shot at the target. Repeat this single shot exercise until you are comfortable with the position. Next, load and fire 5 shots in a row, resting between shots. If you hold the standing shooting position longer than about 8 seconds without firing, remove your trigger finger from the trigger, lower the gun, relax, take a few breaths, and start over again.
Occasionally, you may experience a jam or stoppage at the range. A stoppage may be caused by a problem with ammunition or with the pistol. Revolvers are generally extremely reliable and rarely jam. Poor maintenance or a broken part, however, can prevent proper functioning in a number of ways. The cylinder may be hard to turn or may not align its chambers with the bore. The hammer may not stay in the cocked position. The trigger may fail to release the hammer, or the gun may not fire when the hammer falls. When functioning is merely sluggish or gritty, a good cleaning may be all that is needed to restore proper operation. More serious problems will require the attention of a gunsmith. Because of the way in which they operate, semi-automatic pistols are more prone to stoppages than revolvers. However, modern semi-automatic pistols fired with high-quality ammunition and given the proper maintenance can be extremely reliable, firing hundreds of shots without a stoppage. Most often, a semi-automatic pistol will jam when the top cartridge in the magazine fails to feed fully into the chamber, or a fired case is not completely ejected from the action. Sometimes a cartridge will go almost completely into the chamber, leaving the slide slightly out of battery. When a jam is encountered, first, you should wait at least 30 seconds. Tap the bottom of the magazine to make sure it is fully seated. Then, rack the slide rearward vigorously to clear any live round or empty shell from the action. Occasionally, you may have to invert and shake the pistol to remove the jammed cartridge or case. It may be necessary to remove the magazine from the gun first and then rack the slide to clear the action. Persistent feeding jams with a semi-automatic pistol may sometimes be resolved simply by changing to a different brand or type of load. Frequent failures to eject may result from a defective extractor or ejector, or, on some occasions, from the use of a load that is too light for the pistol. Defective magazines, too, can cause both feeding and ejection problems. And finally, recurring stoppages may also result from poor maintenance or insufficient lubrication. If you continue to have jams with your semi-automatic pistol even after cleaning it, replacing magazines, and changing ammunition, it should be taken to a qualified gunsmith for examination. Now that you can assume the bench rest and two-handed standing shooting positions, and you know how to zero your pistol, you can continue with skill development through practice, participation in various shooting activities, or enrollment in one of the many firearm training courses offered by the NRA. Whether you're shooting in registered competition or just plinking at a range, you need to know how to score your targets to gauge your results. A common target is the bullseye target, with a round aiming area with concentric scoring rings. The smaller the ring, the higher the point value. The highest point value is in the 10 ring. With many bullseye targets, the 10 ring contains a small center dot called the X ring, which also has a 10-point value. The X-ring is usually used to break scoring ties in competition. With this type of target, hits outside the scoring rings, like this shot, have a value of 0. Hits that are completely or partially inside a scoring ring receive that ring's value, like this 8 and this 10. And a hit that touches a scoring ring receives that ring's value. This shot, as you can see, is just barely touching the edge of the 10 ring, so it counts as 10 points. The same scoring principles are used with non-bullseye targets, such as this NRA action pistol target.
Selecting the proper pistol is critical to successful shooting. There is a logical procedure for the selection process. First, you should decide what type of pistol you need: air pistol, rimfire pistol, or centerfire pistol. Air pistols use compressed air or gas to fire a small pellet. They are used for informal and formal target shooting and can usually be fired safely indoors with a proper backstop. Rimfire pistols fire .22 caliber rimfire ammunition and are most often used for plinking, target shooting, or small game hunting. Centerfire pistols can be had in a variety of calibers and sizes, and thus can be used for a variety of activities, including target shooting, hunting, personal protection, and more. The first step in selecting a pistol is deciding what it is to be used for. This will help determine what type and caliber of pistol you need. Next, you should examine a variety of different pistol models for gun fit and ergonomics, size and weight, and ease of use and maintenance. Test firing various models is useful to judge the gun's recoil and ease of firing. Other factors that can be significant in pistol selection are the reputation of the model and manufacturer, availability of ammunition, warranty, ease of repair, and, of course, price. It's a good idea to buy a pistol from a reputable gun shop. They'll help you make the right choice and stand behind the sale. If necessary, consult a knowledgeable shooter, such as an NRA-certified instructor, for help in selecting your pistol. And, of course, you must observe all applicable local, state, and federal laws pertaining to the purchase and ownership of firearms. Contact your local law enforcement agency to determine the regulations that are in force in your jurisdiction.
After each shooting session, you should clean and lubricate your pistol. A well-maintained pistol will function more reliably, shoot more accurately, and last longer. Before you begin cleaning your pistol, make sure it's unloaded and that there is no live ammunition in the cleaning area. To clean your pistol properly, you'll need a cleaning kit consisting of a cleaning rod, a bronze or nylon brush and jag of the proper size, bore solvent, cotton patches, a small brush for cleaning residue out of crevices, a soft cloth, and gun oil. The initial step in cleaning a pistol is to disassemble it. That means removing the slide, barrel, and recoil spring unit from a semi-automatic, and in most cases, simply opening the cylinder of a revolver. Cleaning the bore is first. Put the jag on the cleaning rod, attach a patch to it, wet the patch with solvent and run it through the bore once or twice. Next, put the bore brush on the cleaning rod and apply some bore solvant. Avoid dipping the brush in the bore solvent to keep the solvent clean of any material that may be on the brush. Run the brush through the bore 10 to 15 times. This will dislodge powder residue, copper fouling, and other unwanted material. Then reinstall the jag on the rod and use it to run a series of dry patches through the bore until clean. With the barrel of a semi-automatic, insert the patch into the chamber end of the bore. When the patches come out with little or no discoloration and no dirt is visible in the bore, the barrel is clean. When you're cleaning a revolver, each chamber of the cylinder is cleaned in the same way as the bore. Use your small brush to clean grit and residue out of crevices and other areas that are hard to get at. Use your soft cloth to clean and lubricate all the exposed surfaces of the gun and apply oil directly to key points, such as the slide, barrel, and trigger of a semi-automatic, and the crane, trigger, and hammer of a revolver. When you have the pistol apart and clean, take a moment to inspect its parts for damage or wear. When you're done, reassemble your pistol and the cleaning process is completed. Like any machine, your pistol, if used frequently, will require periodic maintenance in addition to cleaning. For example, the recoil springs of semi-automatic pistols should be replaced roughly every 3,000 shots. Also, your pistol's owner's manual will contain maintenance recommendations, and a competent gunsmith can help you with any questions, as well as periodic gun checkups. Don't forget to observe all hygiene guidelines as you perform maintenance on your pistol. To keep your pistol clean and safe, store it properly in a cool, dry place that is not accessible to unauthorized persons. Ammunition should be stored separately.
Now that you've learned how to use your pistol safely, you'll want to continue developing your skills. One of the best ways to do this is through the Winchester NRA Marksmanship Qualification Program. This is a self-paced skill development program allowing shooters to earn awards while practicing by themselves or with others. You can also take advantage of the many firearm training opportunities offered by the NRA. There are more than 60,000 NRA instructors worldwide who teach courses in just about every shooting discipline imaginable. The NRA Training Department can help students contact instructors in their area or assist those students wishing to become instructors themselves. These are conducted in Bullseye Pistol, International Pistol, NRA Action Pistol, Pistol Metallic Silhouette, and many other competitive disciplines. The NRA Competitive Shooting Division sanctions pistol shooting tournaments and leagues throughout the country. The NRA also publishes Shooting Sports USA, a magazine for competitive shooters. Hunting small or medium game with a pistol offers an exciting new set of challenges in the field. Check with your state Fish and Game Service for regulations regarding pistol hunting in your area. There are more than 15,000 clubs nationwide that are enrolled or affiliated with the NRA. The NRA Clubs and Associations Department can help find a club near you.
The NRA, which produced the NRA Basic Pistol Shooting Course and this video, offers many benefits to shooters of all types. In addition to its firearm training and competitive shooting programs, the NRA also offers instructor training, youth programs, women's programs, law enforcement training, and more. The NRA's basic goals are to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, especially in regard to the Second Amendment, promote public safety, law and order, and the national defense. Train members of law enforcement agencies, the armed forces, and people of good repute in the safe handling and effective use of firearms. Foster and promote the shooting sports at local, state, regional, national, and international levels, and promote hunter safety and proper wildlife management. The NRA was established in 1871, originally to promote marksmanship training. And membership has many benefits, such as subscription to American Rifleman, American Hunter, or America's First Freedom, and insights for younger shooters, firearm insurance, discount programs for airline tickets, rental cars, hotels, and more, and a watchful eye and a powerful voice in our nation's legislatures at all levels of government. We hope you have enjoyed the NRA Basic Pistol Shooting course and this video, and we encourage you to continue your education, training, and participation in the shooting sports, and introduce others to shooting as well to help promote and preserve the American tradition of safe and responsible gun ownership.